Welcome back to Turn Down for What, your source for EV news and updates. Like and subscribe for more content like this episode. Let's dive on in. Welcome back to Turn Down for What. Another day.
Another high mileage episode.
High mileage episode. Let's go. Let's go. We have the privilege and opportunity today to bring on Dave from the West Coast. Such an interesting story. I'll let you introduce yourself in a minute, but about 2 months ago, it was July 22nd, there was an article that came out from Ford directly, and it was introducing this guy on the West Coast that had driven 250,000 miles on his Ford Mustang Mach-E. And there was this whole interview that was done. If you haven't checked out that article, I'll post it in the description below. But I immediately was like, we have to talk to this guy. Who is Dave? How do I get a hold of Dave? And through some digging and backtracking, I was able to reach out and get a hold of you, Dave. Thank you for coming on the podcast and welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Josh, that may be admissible as evidence for your future stalking trial, but
yes. Hey, where there's a will, there's a way. And in my line of business, I've had lots of people like, how did you get my phone number? I'm like, that's a secret I'll never tell. But yes, it was an honor to get connected, Dave, and excited to have you on and just want to know everything, start to finish. We're going to basically have you rehash the whole story for our listeners. Tell us about yourself and tell us when you purchased your first EV. It doesn't have to be this Mach-E if it wasn't.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you. So yeah, my name is David Blenkle. I live in Santa Cruz, California, and I operate a small transportation company. It's called My Santa Cruz Driver. And that's what I do is I drive folks in and out of Santa Cruz all day long. My first EV was a Ford Focus. It was a 2016 model. And it got a whopping 76 miles of range. But at the time I worked about 30 miles from home. So it was just the right commuter car for me. And man, the first time I stepped on that accelerator in the test drive, I was hooked. And that was just a Focus. That wasn't this beast. So yeah, I decided then and there that EVs would be my future cars. And I drove that car for about 150,000 miles before it was time to trade it in. And that's a car that could have gone probably for another 150,000 at least. It was in great shape, but I needed something with more range. And so I started looking. This was in 2022, and was looking to see what was out there. I needed something that I could transport passengers in, and something that was going to be very, very comfortable and hopefully reliable. At the time, the players in the space were going to be Tesla. Polestar had just released their first sedan, and the Mach-E. So I'm sure that both Polestar and Tesla are great vehicles, but they didn't excite me. I wasn't interested in doing more research on those. Whereas with the Mustang, I really felt like I had a connection there. My mom's first car was a 64 Mustang, and I remember standing in the passenger seat, riding around with her as a little guy. And then later on, my wife had a EcoBoost convertible. We had bought my son a beat up Mustang to work on and to kind of practice his craft of mechanics. And so there was a nice emotional tie to the brand. So that got me really looking into it. And I was just so impressed with the technology and all that I was reading. Unfortunately, I couldn't find one to test drive. It was 2022, the height of the chip shortage, and they were nowhere to be found. I believe at the time it was a 9-month order to get a Mach-E, which, for me, I just didn't have the patience or the time for. So I fished with a wide net. I called dealerships all up and down the West Coast and all the way to New Mexico. I was prepared to fly somewhere to pick one up and drive it home. And I just let them know the trim I was looking for and the color. And fortunately for me, one showed up about 30 miles from my home down near Monterey. So literally, like, raced down there to pick the car up. I got there and was filling out paperwork, and during the purchase process, 2 other families came in trying to buy it. So it was just such a small, short window to be able to get in there and get the vehicle. So I literally bought it blind. It wasn't until I finished the paperwork that I asked my salesperson if I could actually go sit in my car now. So it was a bit of a gamble, but I have been just so happy with the car in every possible way.
Sorry for the distraction. I had to reset my camera there, but yeah, man, that's like the early story of all of the vehicles, right? Trying to find a dealer that wasn't going to mark you up big, trying to find one in inventory, trying to get to it before, to your point, 2 other people got it, and especially, here in Northern California where the Mach-E's just fly. Like there's so many Mach-E's here in this area, and it's great to hear your story because so many people, so much of the narrative that I hear from kind of old school drivers is that EVs don't have a soul, but I do think the Mach-E has such a great heritage to it, and the lines on it are so great. And did you test drive the other ones as well? And did you notice a difference in ride feel, or were you just kind of going off kind of the legacy in the time and just how it made you feel as someone that had been part of the Ford family already, and then had that history going back within your own family?
Yeah, it was the second piece there. I didn't drive anything else. Again, I just didn't have any interest really in the Tesla or the Polestar at the time. So this one, like, it checked all the boxes for me. And again, that emotional connection is just so important. For people that say it's not a Mustang, it's not a real Mustang. Well, what does that mean? And there is a spirit to the car for sure. And so not test driving it, I didn't know. That's where my gamble came from. But within moments of being in the car, like I knew it. Like this is a Mustang, inside and out, and something pretty special and pretty unique.
We all 3 of us that host the podcast all got the Lightning, but it was the pre-order before there was ever a model to drive, and so I'd never even seen one. There was one that showed up to a local dealership like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before mine actually got delivered, but I had never actually seen one until I got to get in my truck and drive it. But that was where, on a gamble for an F-150 Lightning, I knew that that's what I wanted, and I have regretted it zero since the beginning. But definitely something that's just truly special about that. I guess the anticipation of getting it, but then when you get it and are able to get into it, regardless of the name of it. I mean, driving a Ford EV for me has been just top end experience.
Did you do any road tripping in it? Because your previous EV, you really couldn't at 70 miles of range, right? You weren't heading down I-5 in that thing, right? So, like, tell me about how that was.
Yeah, my road trip and my focus was going to Palo Alto, which is about 60 miles, having to charge and go home. So shortly after I bought this, my son and I made our first trip to Los Angeles for a concert, and that was great. I had enough range to get to Inglewood, where the concert was. I did stop and charge on the way for a few minutes just for a buffer, but it was super seamless. And then 2 years ago, I made the trek to New Mexico, and that was 1,100 miles each way. And I had to get out there pretty urgently. I didn't have time to go and plot my charging stops and, really look at it. So I just simply entered it in my GPS, my final destination, and it did a really nice job laying out all the charging stations for me. And it went off without a hitch. I didn't run into a station that was especially busy. I didn't find stations that were in disrepair. I made it with no problem at all. And then on the way back, again, another 1,100 miles, took a slightly different route. Same thing, didn't have to do any research, just plugged it in and let the car take me and get nourished when it needed it.
Now, are you a native navigation guy? You use the Ford Native Nav, or were you using one like the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto? Like, what is your interface of choice?
Yeah, Apple Maps. Yeah, okay. So I'm a big fan of CarPlay. and just the integration with my, my business apps, etc. It just kind of all works together. So Apple Maps has been solid for me.
Yeah, I've had my qualms with Apple Maps. I hope they get a little bit better. My thing with Apple Maps and in the Lightning anyway is that it would always leave me with 17 to 25% when I would go to my charging stops. Has it been different for you in the Mach-E? I like it to be below 10% if I can get it there. But in the Lightning, it's always like getting me with way too much charge, and I'm like, I want to keep going. What's that been like in the Mach-E? Because it's such a more efficient vehicle to drive when you're on the freeway. The Lightning just kills you. It's a brick going down the road. So when you're traveling in the Mach-E, what was that like for you?
Yeah, so it tries to keep you above 20%, and the way it laid out the charging stations was one with I'd say probably a little cautionary in case one was down. So they actually gave me twice as many stops as I really needed. So instead of making these short stops to charge to 60 or 70%, I would take a longer stop and charge to 80 or 80 plus. But yeah, typically 20% is where it tries to keep you. And that's been pretty great. I think, with Apple Maps, I think a criticism is my destination is home, and I'm going to get there with less than 20%, and it knows I have a charger at home, but it still tries to guide me to a charger.
Sounds like you have the exact same qualms that we've had with the issue, but it seems like just based on the initial conversation that you've put 250,000 miles on this car, but most of it's not major road trips. Most of it's around town. Is that right? Or how did you get to 250,000 miles in the last 3 years?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a lot of airport runs. So for those not familiar with the area, Santa Cruz is about 45 miles from the San Jose airport, and I'm about 70 miles from San Francisco International Airport. And so majority of my clients are going there. So I'm making several trips a day up and back to San Francisco and San Jose. And so that's been the bulk of it. Yeah.
Do you do most of your charging at home, or are you using local DCFC to your region?
Yeah, so I do have a level 2 charger at home. So I start with a full battery in the morning, or 90% or so. I am averaging about 350, 400 miles of driving a day. So I do make typically one stop kind of mid-afternoon. Whenever it's time for lunch, I'll stop, and I just need about probably 10 or 15 minutes to get charged up for the rest of the day.
Talk about fuel savings with how much you drive. Have you done the math on how much you've saved comparative to the cost of fuel in California?
I have not.
I'm sure you've paid for the cost of the vehicle 2 times over with how many miles you put on your car.
I would say between the maintenance, lack of expenditures around maintenance, and the fuel, yeah, it's paid for itself.
That's crazy.
So let's talk about maintenance. With the earlier Mach-E's, there was some high voltage battery junction box, going on. Did you experience that? As you've gone through these, what's your maintenance been like? Talk about things when you're driving the way you are, especially coming over the Santa Cruz mountains and some of the rain we get in the winter. Tire choice. What have you been doing to replace tires? I think that would be a big wear and tear. What other little niggles have come up along the way?
Give us the history of your maintenance.
Tell me the Carfax.
Do certain things. Tell us everything.
Yeah. What's that? Because most people, that's a lifetime of driving.
I need the receipts and everything. Thank you, please.
I got him. All right. So the HVJB, man, what an experience. So as I was filling out the paperwork, and I asked my salesperson if I could go sit in my car. She said yes. She said, but I got to tell you something. We just got an order to stop sell on these due to a recall. And so I was a little deflated. Well, what does that mean exactly? And so she explained it to me that it would need a software patch, and I wouldn't be able to take the car home that day. And not that there was a problem with that junction box. It was just simply that Ford had stopped sale on them. So it was about 2 weeks before they had the patch, and I was able to actually go and pick up my car and drive it home. So that was a lot of anticipation those last couple weeks. I did have the software update, or I'm sorry, I did take it in for the replacement of the high voltage junction box per the hardware recall this last year. So took it in, took them a couple days, and they brought it back out. It's been fine. Never had an issue with it prior. It was just a cautionary replacement on that. I've been super fortunate. Today I have 264,500 miles. And in that time, the only glitch that I've had was my 12-volt battery. And what happened, what we figured out was my phone as a key at night was being stored too close to the vehicle, and it was continuously waking it up. And so that drained it, and they were able to replace my 12-volt under warranty. It was within 30,000 miles. And then there was a software update somewhere along the way. I don't remember if it was Apple or if it was Ford, but it seemed to have taken care of the issue, and I've not had a problem since. I've not had a single mechanical issue. I've had no downtime. It's just been super, super reliable. My maintenance, I just follow the schedule. I'm in every 10,000 miles at my Ford dealership. And it's really more of an inspection than anything, right? They're doing the safety inspection on the brakes and taking a visual of all the suspension. I rotate the tires. And my first set of tires, I was rotating every 10,000 miles per Ford's guidance. But when it came time to replace my first set at about 50, I was right about 55,000 miles. I replaced them with the same original equipment tires, so the Michelin Privacy. And the tire guys recommended I rotate every 5,000 miles. So I've been doing that since, and my average tire life is a little bit over 60,000 now. I'm right about 62.
That's awesome.
Since I changed those 5,000 mile rotations. Outside of that, I've spent money on wiper blades and cabin filters, and that's it. My brakes are still above 50%, and everything's just like literally humming right along.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Josh.
I'm on mute. Just
There
for
you
the
go.
record, you put 250,000 miles on a vehicle and have never changed the brakes.
That's correct.
The beauty of regenerative braking, everyone.
Dude, Dave is just killing it.
250,000 miles and you never change the brakes. You've only changed your tires and wiper blades. That is insane.
Dave, I'm going to take a clip of that, Josh, a clip that we can just take and repeatedly copy and paste into every single FUD thread everywhere where they
is insane.
It is, right? 250,000 miles, not changed your brakes, wiper blades, tires. The number of times I see somebody that's like, oh, you got to change your tires every 20,000 miles. No, right? It's heavy, and so you're going to wear through your brake pads. No, right? Like they're not going to last. The battery is going to die, and you're going to spend 250,000 miles later. What about range degradation? How's that looking after 250,000 miles?
Yeah, glad you asked.
It's insane.
Insane.
It's still
insane.
It's my battery capacity is still at 92%.
This is insane.
When I first bought the car, my range was about 306. And so this morning I charged to 100% and I was at 295.
That's awesome.
This is insane.
It's nuts. Has Ford contacted you to deep dive with engineers and just use yours as the ultimate prototype? I mean, they did the story, and that's from the comms team and the marketing folks. Have the engineers gone in and just been like, dude, how do we make every car like this? Maybe they don't want to make every car like that. They'll never sell another car.
That's fair. Yeah.
No,
not at this point.
Your body's gonna fall apart at some point before the actual car does, because most cars go 250,000 miles and the engine's bad, the transmission's bad, and it costs more to fix it than it's worth because those things all have to get replaced. You're at 92% efficiency and the car doesn't need anything. It's just going to keep rolling as long as the body holds up.
Exactly. And I was when they were doing the recall work on the high voltage junction box, They gave me a loaner, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be bad. I got a brand new Mach-E. I'm going to feel like my old one is worn. I'm going to feel like I have to buy this new one. And I got in the car, and what I noticed was the ride was very similar to my existing car. So like suspension, the ride quality, it's really maintained. That's been, I think, the most surprising thing to me through all of this was how the car feels at 250,000 miles versus one that just rolled in off the truck.
It's funny. I just had this conversation this past weekend at Electrify Expo. Ford hosted a great cars and coffee event right in front of the Hornet here in the Bay Area. I'm, just 50 miles up the freeway from you, Dave. And I have a buddy of mine that's the mayor of San Mateo. We call him the Mustang Mayor because he's got the Mach-E. And he was talking about he's like, getting ready to pay off his Mach-E. And he's like, oh, should I go and get the newest Mach-E? And there's just no reason to. It drives just as well as it ever has. And, we went and he saw all the other Mach-E's there, got into a couple of them, checking them out. The Rally definitely has a different stance. With the Rally, you lose the awesome sunroof you have right over your head there, which what an awesome shot that is, man. Just looks like you're parked under a tree living the dream out there. And it's, there's just nothing, there's nothing about the Mach-E over time that doesn't hold up well. It's a really well-built vehicle, and I love hearing this. I've never seen anybody have that many miles. Usually if you're over 100,000, you're feeling really good about it, but to hear that it still looks pristine, like looking at the way you take care of it, suspension's all held up, everything that you're saying is riding great still.
Yeah, totally great. And because I'm transporting passengers, I've had over 7,000 fannies in that back seat, and that rear passenger door has been opened and closed 14,000 times or more. So everything still feels really solid and new, and no rattles, no problems with the upholstery. Like my passengers can't believe it's 3 years old. And then when I tell them the mileage, they challenge me. They're like, wait, no, you have 26,000 miles. I'm like, nope, 260,000.
So are you pushing on to
insane.
500? Like, is there anything that calls your name or appeals to you in the market when you look, or do you just, you're on your way to 500?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. So a while back, I was curious how far the moon was from the Earth, and I found out it was on average about 238,000 miles away. So I've driven essentially to the moon, and I'm on my way back. So I feel like I have to make it to the 476,000 to
That's
make
a
the round
story.
trip.
I drove it to the moon and back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because how many people have ever taken a single car that far without, it completely falling apart? But that's just, just that statement alone, just the last 5 minutes, that's insane. And the craziest thing is the 92% battery life at 250,000 miles, because so many people freak out over the fact that, like, well, I have to replace the battery and it's so expensive. And yes, if a failure point happens, there's a risk element there, but every car is going to have a $20,000 to $30,000, not that, maybe $15,000 to $20,000 of engines and transmissions and oil changes and all this maintenance that's required in any gas car, whether it's a $15,000 sedan or a $40,000, $50,000 truck. They're all going to have this same massive amount of ICE maintenance that has to take place over every 5,000 miles, and the brake pads and the transmissions and the engines and the spark plugs and all these things that can go wrong in a vehicle. And the beauty of an EV is the simplicity that has been put into place with the fact that it's a battery and two motors. And those things, if they operate well, you do not ever really need, and you're the testament to it. You don't need maintenance. It's wiper blades because those get used. It's tires because that's just normal maintenance that you can't avoid. But you get to avoid even changing your brakes, which is crazy that no ICE vehicle can say that they get to do. And so just that testament alone is, the EV space is so new. We don't get to interview people that drive 500 miles a day and have managed to get 250,000 miles on their car. Like Chris is saying, I've put about 80,000 on my two EV trucks. But not many people are getting that many miles. But to see, hey, it's gone the distance for you, and here you are, you know, 250,000 miles later, happy and not even wanting to change vehicles. So much can be said about that. My parents just had a change in their vehicle because it was at 220,000 miles and something had cracked in the transmission or something. $7,000 repair. Here you are with 265,000 with no impending maintenance due, and that's the statement. So I don't know. I could stand on a soapbox all day and talk about that. That's just amazing.
Now, what about?
I think,
go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
No, I'm asked often. So what do you want to buy after this? And my response is the same vehicle. Like, why would I change? This has been an amazing experience. And you know, it's a different time. Again, when I picked it out, it was Tesla Polestar Mach-E. Now there's, you know, dozens of choices or scores of choices, and I still haven't found anything that really resonates the way that this one does for me and for my business and needs. So I'm a Mach-E guy for life.
And hopefully the new model that they produce that would maybe have a mid-size SUV that's going to be maybe a Model E competitor, a Mach-E competitor. Maybe that the new series of vehicles that they're coming out with will have a higher level of efficiency, greater range, better charging capacity. We'll see. But I mean, I think Mach-E is one of the best offerings on the market as far as cost competitiveness and just overall experience. You can hate on the name Mustang all you want to, but if you get in it and you drive it, like, it's a great car. And I think it's a really, really solid use case for a lot of those people looking for that mid-size, SUV type vibe.
Have you been a BlueCruise guy? How has that been for you? I know there's only certain freeways and highways that work. Have you dabbled into the BlueCruise experience?
Yeah, I'm a huge evangelist for BlueCruise, especially with as much as I drive. And I'll tell you, just one of the things you don't think about is like posture. If I'm driving for 12 hours a day, like, the odds of me not being crippled at this point are slim. But with BlueCruise, I'm able to like shift my body posture. And that's so important, you know, keeping your hands at 10 and 2 for 12 hours can, you know, it creates some aches and pains, especially at my age. But it's really helped me to be able to stay healthy and feel comfortable driving. I trust it implicitly. I think I know when something's coming up that I should probably be aware of. If usually it's like an overpass bridge where there's no striping, you're going to get the indication to touch the wheel. But it's been fantastic. And another thing that I just kind of evangelize with my passengers is how good the technology is. Recently with the update and being able to change lanes with just
I was about to say, do you have 1.5?
No, I have the one with the signal prompt. So when I turn the signal on, it will go. Yeah.
And that's Chris, am I wrong? Is it only new Mach-E's that get 1.5?
Yeah, it's only the new ones. The hardware changed for the 2025 model, and only in the Mach-E, because I got a little excited having the 25 Lightning, and I thought,
it's only in the Mach-E. Yeah,
only in the Mach-E. So
it's only the new Mach-E. So the 25 Mach-E. Okay.
Yeah,
that might be one only consideration of an advantage for upgrading down the road is you get that automatic lane change. Having driven with Super Cruise, I think that it's a little bit more of a Super Cruise has a little bit more stability to the system, but the automatic lane change was huge. I really appreciated having that. The blinkers, I just got 1.4 on my Lightning about 2 months ago, and so that was a big upgrade to get. But that's where obviously the 1.5 is kind of the target that I'm hoping to see.
Look at Josh. Josh is like, I just got 1.4 and I'm already asking about 1.5. This is the problem with American society, Josh. Be happy with your 1.4 for a cup of coffee.
Millennials, we have to have it all, man. Come on now.
Gotta have millennial generation, Dave. That's what's going on here, right? Give it at least 100,000 miles before you need the 1.5.
I will say, after driving a full self-drive Tesla Model Y Juniper, I kind of wish that there was an option to opt into that with the with my Ford. I love Ford. I'm sticking with Ford, but man, that full self-drive out of Tesla is impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, Dave, have you experienced? I know that you didn't test drive other vehicles, but have you gone and experienced like the full self drive or some other EVs? If somebody was like, Dave, you're not allowed to have the Mach-E. You've that's it, 250,000. That's too much. You have to change, right? Like, is there a second choice for you that would spark your interest, or are you walking now?
Man, I think I'd be ready to retire. Um, no, I there's some great stuff out there, but I haven't put thought into anything else. There's no FOMO on my end.
Yeah, I wonder how many Mach-E's you've sold, man, just by giving out these rides. How many people are you the first experience, the first gateway into an electric vehicle experience? Like when they book a ride with you, do they know that it's electric? Is that part of the draw, or is that just happenstance? And like, what are you hearing from passengers as you bring folks around?
Yeah, it's a combination of those things. So I do have some information on my website about the vehicle. But you have to kind of look for it. And not all my passengers go through my website. Most of them just reach out to me directly. So for many of them, it's a bit of a surprise that I'm showing up in an EV. Yeah, I'd say probably 20-30% of my passengers have never been in an electric vehicle. So there's lots of questions, right? All the myths, all the things they see coming through their news feeds. So, we'll spend that hour and a half we have in the car just talking about EVs. Lots of people who are on the fence, people who are thinking about maybe going to a hybrid first and then to an EV, and they'll have questions about that. I did have a couple who were very excited that they were getting in a Mach-E because they had one on order and they'd been waiting a while, and that enthusiasm had worn off a little bit. They weren't sure if they were going to keep the order. So they were so happy with the ride and actually being able to sit here, they decided to move forward with it. And I know that at least two of my passengers have purchased a Mach-E.
Now, see, Ford, we need a referral program because,
Yeah.
right? You gotta
Yeah.
that someone like you is the perfect use case where you could have a referral code or a QR code. You could link this video on your QR code, Dave. When you have questions, here's a whole episode where I talk about it. But yeah, referral codes would be cool for someone like you because you have so many people that are getting their first glimpse into an EV. What about your own family? You talked about your son. Is your son doing mechanical things? It sounded like he's was starting to do that. And is he electric? Is he did he go into wrenching? Like, do other people in your orbit have EVs, or are you the one fool on the hill, so to speak, with your electric car? Like, what's around your orbit?
Yeah, I'm kind of the odd bird in my family around that. Nobody else is driving an EV. In fact, when I went to New Mexico, it was to see my mother and my brother, and my mother asked me if I had an extension cord long enough to make it to New Mexico, and I thought that was pretty great. And my brother's a pretty diehard petrol guy. He tows a trailer pretty regularly, so he doesn't have any interest in EVs. With my son, now the Mustang he bought was $100. It was worth every penny. It had been wrecked and it was in bad shape, and it was during quarantine, so it gave us something to do together. He was 13 at the time. The idea was we'd hopefully get that guy up and running in time for him, for that to be his first car when he got his license. Didn't work out, but man, he turned a lot of wrenches, and first day he pulled the alternator off and replaced it himself at 13. I was kind of blown away. Call it the power of YouTube. He learned a lot
Yeah.
there, and he'd go in and replace the parts. So that was just really neat time to spend with him. And one of the things I love about my son is he's got an open mind to everything. So he loves petrol cars, but he also really loves EVs. He's driven this one. He was disappointed that he didn't get the dual motor because he wanted to go 0 to 60 in 3.6. So I took him out the day I got it, and we did a 0 to 70 getting on the highway. And he looked over at me and he's like, "Dad, you don't need two motors. This is plenty."
Yeah.
So he has an appreciation for both of them. But yeah, with my family, I'm still kind of an odd bird. And when I'm driving with them, I'll take my hands off the wheel and put BlueCruise on, and they think I'm a little nuts.
That's
But
That's the craziest thing though, is I mean, I'm in East Tennessee. So Chris lives in San Francisco. We can ignore him. But I mean, I figured you in California might have a similar experience to Chris, but I've talked about it a bunch of times on the podcast, but I'm from East Tennessee, where everyone is of that persuasion. And it's one of those things that, like, for me, we literally started this podcast on the sole premise of EV technology is a very new but very awesome technology that is not political. It's not anything other than a unique technology that is not for everyone yet. They're still working on the technology, but most people could value from that technology in their life. And do I still love a gas car? Jesse used to drive race cars. I mean, like, we love our, gas cars. My wife drives a gas car. It's not like we're just like this complete EV household. However, I love my EV and I would never drive anything else in my application, in my use case. And, being able to continue to tell that story, I've seen several people in my area that started with, do you have an extension cord long enough? And now they drive EVs after hanging out with me, driving my truck, taking it around the block, because what is just that instinctual mockery of the technology? Then they get in and they actually open their eyes like, wait a second, this actually is pretty legit. Like, this is crazy. And their opinion begins to shift. And so I hope that your story, to anybody that listens to this episode, is able to kind of shine a light on that exact thing, which is, EVs are such a unique technology. You can go 250,000 miles and still have 92% of your battery. You can have no maintenance. You can save all the money in gas. You can save all the money in maintenance costs. And you have this awesome vehicle that gets you to and from, saves you money, all this technology. Where's the negative in that? Where is your inconvenience life in that? You've had nothing but a better, smoother, more comfortable, more technologically advanced ride experience than the average driver on the road. And here you are, flash forward, telling that story. And, anybody that listens to this should realize, like, hey, take a second thought, consider it, because it's such a unique technology.
Yeah, totally. Well, really well said. And what I say to my passengers or people that are maybe skeptical is just talk to somebody who drives one. Just sit in the car, go for a ride, talk to them, ask them all your questions, bring up all the myths, and get some feedback from an owner.
I was a gas driver my whole life, had never even driven in an EV until I ordered my Lightning, never driven in an EV, had no idea what I was doing, had never charged a car, had no idea. And in 2022, I bought a Lightning out of the blue because the money savings and fuel, and because of the unique technology that was the Ford F-150 Lightning when it announced. And I was one of the very first people to order one. And that's one of those things that, like, for me, it changed my life so much that now it's my career. I now develop EV charging stations as a career because I'm such a believer in the technology and I want to help promote that technology to move forward. And so that's just like hey, if you don't know, talk to somebody, drive one, and then figure out how it works for your life. Because I still think that your friend that tows all the time might not be the best entry to the market right now. There's some, like the Silverado and stuff, that actually could potentially work, but I get it. Like that's an obvious encumbrance. Keep your gas. That's an obvious objection to handle. But the average person that drives 50 miles a day, like you do, or you drive 400 miles a day, but the average person that drives 50 miles a day, you're going to save so much money in maintenance and fuel, and you're going to have a fun, fast, quiet vehicle. Nothing compares to that. It's just a 2.0 version of any other vehicle I've ever driven.
It's always interesting to me when people online are critical or listen to people that don't own an EV. And it's the strangest thing to me. And I'll chime in and I'll be like, listen, I drove a gas vehicle for 25 years. And so I've driven them both. And how many years have you spent in an EV? And the answer is none. I would never be caught dead in an EV. Like, bro, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, get in an EV. Like, just get into it. If you get into it, you can tell me some reasons that it doesn't work for you. Like you're saying, you have a guy that tows. I have a friend that comes in from the Central Valley every day. He's in the trades. He's going to multiple job sites a day. Then he's got to make it all the way back home. He's going up over the Altamont Pass. There's a number of reasons that, sort of like a Lucid that goes 400 miles or a Silverado, short of those, there's no way he's going to have that range. And so he's got a ladder rack and a bunch of stuff on there. It's not going to work for him. I'm all about the right tool for the right job. Like, I'm not going to break out a step ladder to get on the roof of my house. So at the same time, I'm not going to get an extension ladder to change a light bulb. It's the right tool for the right purpose. And I think people understanding that and embracing that, when we're sitting at 8% EV adoption, it's one of those things where I'm not looking to go 100%. Can we just get to 25? Can we get to 25 and let's have a conversation? Surely we can agree, that there's enough people at 25% that are homeowners, can charge at home and have a commute that works for an EV lifestyle. And I just think that there's an argument there that people make, and they have zero button seat time. And so that's my favorite thing about what you're doing, Dave, is you're literally putting butts in seats, you're opening eyes, and you're doing it even in the Bay Area, which is a very pro EV, kind of pro environmental area. And I'm not one for even talking about the environmental impact. I just believe it's a better, efficient technology and it's a better experience. But even within our area that you live, you have people that, 30+% of the time had never been in an EV before and have all of these same questions. There's still so much out there. And that's why, we love doing the podcast and we love getting people like you to tell the story, because to me, that's what it's all about, is getting that out there. And there's still a ton of people, even in our area, that just don't know.
Yeah.
So closing thoughts, man, tell us about accessories. What are the must-have accessories for your Mach-E? Let's have that be our closing topic. Someone's going to go out and buy a Mach-E. You've had it now for 250,000 miles. What must they have in their Mach-E?
Oh man, I've kept it so original. My favorite thing, honestly, is my phone mount. Because even though I've got this giant, beautiful screen here, there are some things I need to look at that I can't see through CarPlay, like incoming flights, whether or not they're on time for my next passengers, etc. So I've got this phone mount that connects right to the back of the display and kind of pivots around here, and it's just right there where I need it. It holds up great. No glue. It's magnetic charging. It's perfect.
Yeah, the three things I've done to both Lightnings that I would recommend to everybody is the all-weather mats. Just for use case, I can't stand vacuuming grass out of carpet and stuff. It's just annoying. 2, the phone mount. I actually had one I really liked, and then I ordered a phone mount when I bought the truck from Martin, and the company went out of business between the time I ordered it and the time that they were supposed to deliver it, and they never shipped it. So same mount I bought 2 years ago, and it just went out of business like right at that time. Anyways, and then the third thing was the knob on the spinner. I put it's an adjustable. It's a black grippy knob that it slides over that little silver one and gives it some grabbiness to it. And it's a random mod, but like I got into the Lightning and went back to the little silver knob, and I was like, I have to have my beefy knob. And so I have this little black. It's like $8 off Amazon, but it's like slips right over top of it, and it gives it a little grippiness. And those three things, like any Ford I would drive, I would put those three things on there.
And that's because Josh, for those that don't know, is like 7 feet tall. So he's got the giant hands that need, like, his paws can't grab the normal human wheel to turn it. He needs a big grippy dial for that in order to know how to adjust the volume. It's great. The good call on the mats. You're not still using carpet, are you, Dave? All the passengers you get, you got to have some kind of all-weather mats in there.
I do have the all-weather mats. Yeah, that'll
That's
actually be the
way
first thing I probably end up replacing, is the one here on the driver's side.
Yeah. I need those for my Lightning, man. I'm still on the carpet, and every time I get out, I'm like, I got to get those replaced.
We are not sponsored by this company, but I'm going to go ahead and give them a shout out because this is what I had ordered. But this is that's the before, that's the after, and it's just such a difference. It's my little knob. If you don't have it, it's the difference. It just if you drive a Lightning, trust me, get the knob. It'll just make you feel better.
This episode of Turn Down for What, sponsored by Josh's little knob.
Best EV mod store. Give us a discount code for your $19 little piece of plastic that goes over the top, but I highly recommend it. Anyways.
So Dave, when people are flying into San Jose, right, and they want to get a hold of you, do they need to do it in advance? How do they find you? Like, let's get you some more riders in that Mach-E. Let's get you back from the moon. We need to put some more miles on it. How do people find you? And doesn't need to be booked ahead of time, or can they just arrive and be like, I'm gonna go hook up with Dave?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. They're all scheduled rides. So I can be reached through phone or text at 831-587-3696, or visit my website, and it's just simply mysantacruzdriver.com. There's lots of great info there. But yeah, everything I do is scheduled in advance. And I go to all airports. There's really no place I don't go. All of my rides either start in Santa Cruz or end in Santa Cruz. And that's the one like parameter that I keep.
Okay. So we'll make sure we throw that into the description as well, so folks can find you. If you're flying into SFO and you're heading to you gotta be heading to Santa Cruz though. I can't be going to Monterey. I gotta go.
Well, I could probably make that work. We'll see.
All right. You just mentioned that you heard it on Turn Down for What, and now you can go to Santa Cruz or Monterey.
Or anywhere
That's
that you want
awesome.
to go that he's willing to drive you, but reach out.
Right. We'll see how many random text messages Dave gets now.
Yikes.
You may regret doing that.
My first passenger was a cat. And I don't mean like a cool jazz drummer, but like a furry cat that I drove to Tahoe from Santa Cruz.
Oh my God.
That was
That's an interesting, because now you're up in Tahoe, and so you had to make the rate make sense enough for you to get not just to Tahoe, but all the way back. And I wouldn't guess that you had much of a backhaul or anything coming back. Or did you get lucky and have someone to pick up on the way back, or you just worked that into the price?
I worked it into the price. Yeah, it was a family had moved from Santa Cruz to Tahoe and left their cat behind until they got settled, and it was time. So we had a nice 5-hour drive.
Yeah. So now I gotta, before we wrap it, but tell me your best. So we got the cat story, and we should have asked this earlier. What is your best driving story? The cat's got to be up there. That's a pretty unique one. Anything else stand out? Anything crazy?
My goodness.
I should have prefaced that. I always love the stories like from Ethan who does Toro and right, Talik and all the guys that do these kind of things, man. Like, yeah, I love to hear these things.
Yeah, I'll just say in general. So early on, I was doing rideshare. I would do some Uber and Lyft, and I think it's just because of the anonymity of that platform. You know, I'm a driver. Most of those people will never see again. Like the level, the depth that people share with you is kind of unimaginable. Like the things they would tell me about their lives or etc. was just incredible, and I was totally unprepared for it. What I'm doing now, like I have repeat clients, so we don't necessarily get to that place. But yeah, driving like rideshare, there's a million stories.
What would you say is the biggest difference?
Can't share on this platform?
So you got to be family friendly.
Yes.
What would you say is the biggest difference in driving as a private operator the way you are and doing the ride share? Because you're doing the same business, but you're doing it a totally different way.
Right. Yeah, and I think again it's that anonymity of the ride share that's you don't feel satisfied at the end of the day. You know, you've got some people where they need to go, and that's great. But have you really met folks? And I think that being a private driver, I get a lot of repeat business. And so I'm kind of growing up and growing through life with these folks as they are having babies or they're losing loved ones, or, you know, me getting them to an airport or getting them to a family member's home for some of these life events. It makes me feel good, you know, that I can help and support them. And my Santa Cruz community has been amazing to me. just amazing. The referrals and the repeat business has just been, it's been really overwhelming. And that's something I could never get from rideshare. It was very
That's awesome, man.
transactional.
Yeah, well, that's a great place to leave it off. Love the community. That's what's great about the EV community. That's what's great about anytime you build a community. That's what makes it special. So I love hearing that. To join the Dave community in Santa Cruz, make sure you hit him up. We'll leave that information in the description. And man, Dave, can't thank you enough. Josh, you got any closing thoughts?
No, I just, as I said earlier, I think that your story is one that needs to be broadcast. It's just the success of the technology and something that, you know, it's a honor to get to chat with you. Obviously, you know, Ford got to spotlight you a little bit, and it's probably going to get much more exposure than we would. But, you know, that's something that, you know, to our listeners, it's such a unique story. We'd love to have you back on as you progress, especially once you get back from the moon, and we can spotlight that again and see how the vehicle's still holding up at that time. But thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely, if you're in the area, reach out and get a hold of Dave. So that will be all for today. I think we are going to be live on Thursday for Tech Charged. Chris, is that a yes? We know yet?
I still don't know. I've got back
Okay.
to school night on Thursday. So question mark on Thursday night for me. And I know Martin is still trying to get his latest rebuilds going for his trip to Canada. So we've got to check in. I think Jace also had some work stuff going on. So we try to do
So maybe
these.
not.
Maybe not. Maybe question mark. Maybe we'll repost. You know, this episode will go live today, and then we'll, you know, maybe repost this later in the week as well. If we can get on, I always like to get on if I can. It's harder than you might think to get folks together and to do these things, but fingers crossed we can pull something together. If not this week, it should definitely be the week after. We'll
scheduling between 5 people and work and how crazy
time zones.
That's the fun part. But we're here, and thank you for making an effort to be here. But we will at some point in time post another episode somewhere somehow. So like and subscribe on
like and
channel,
subscribe, ring the bell,
YouTube, and all those things, and we'll have more EV content coming soon. Thank you for tuning in today. But that's all, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks for tuning in to Turn Down for What. Make sure you're subscribed with your notifications on to tune in to more EV news and updates. See you next time.